𝙎𝙈𝙊𝙃 back in another video. Hope you guys all enjoyed today's video. Make sure to hit the like and subscribe button, share the video to a friend who likes this or just anime content in general. Comment down below your thoughts and feelings about the what if, as well as what are suggestions that you'd like me to do in the future. You can support the channel with a super thanks, but if you're not comfortable doing that at this time, then that's okay, and all forms of support are appreciated. This is What If the Namikaze Clan Had a Dojutsu Part 2, or if you're watching this as a movie, it is the second part of the movie. With that being said, we can now begin the what if. We left off with Naruto falling asleep and meeting the Nine Tails within his own subconscious. It would be here that the Nine Tails and Naruto would have an extensive conversation, as the Kyuubi would end his, conversation with Naruto growling at Naruto. But before doing so, he told Naruto that, based off what he can see, they are closer to one and the same than what meets the surface. Naruto has now met with the Kyuubi, and in a way they have kind of become somewhat friends, as Naruto would wake up. Also, side note, Sasuke in this timeline is just going to know a bit more about his heritage, more specifically, the Sharingan and Uchiha tablet. How he knows this? Well, he was actually told by Zetsu, who is trying to manipulate a young Sasuke. Although, after being found by Itachi Uchiha, he has said, nothing to Sasuke, because he has not tried to reach out to Sasuke Uchiha in the first place. Thereon. With that being said, Naruto would wake up walking outside of his apartment. He would then see Sasuke running. Curiously, Naruto would follow him, running after Sasuke. He would watch Sasuke go underground into this weird temple thing, as he would follow Sasuke to see what he was up to. As he then said to himself, "What the hell is that thing?" as he saw Sasuke awaken his two Tomoe Sharingan and begin to read the stone tablet inside of the stone temple. But it was almost as if he wasn't able to read at all, or that he was having difficulties, as Naruto kept seeing Sasuke squint his eyes and murmur the words to himself. Sasuke then yelled, "Damn it, I can't read it all yet." I'll pave my own destiny. One where I'm the strongest Uchiha and even better than Big Brother Itachi. With that being said, Sasuke walked out of the temple-like shrine, as Naruto hid behind a wall. Naruto waited for Sasuke to exit, as he then jumped in, looking at the tablet. He decided that he would try to read said tablet, as he would activate the Kuroime in its second stage. He then tried to read it, as all he saw were blurred words, but behind them were different words, clear as can be. I see no reason why a certain founder of the Namikaze clan wouldn't be able to put a jutsu on the tablet and inscript it, just like Zetsu had changed the words on the tablet. So, in this timeline, this tablet would actually not originally be an Uchiha tablet, but instead it would be a Namikaze tablet that was created thousands of years ago by the first Namikazes to walk the earth. Men and women who were alive during the time of even Asura and Indra. Indra would later repurpose this very tablet as, it would become that of an Uchiha tablet, as Zetsu would obviously later even change that very tablet to then manipulate future Uchiha. With that being said, Naruto would then read it, as it was about his dojutsu. It read that if you are reading this, you possess the Kuroime, and you should know the basic stages of the dojutsu at this point. But what you don't know is that there is actually another way to awaken the other stages of the Kuroime. Naruto's jaw would almost drop. Also, if you haven't already subscribed and liked the video, make sure to do that. Naruto then thought to himself, "There's more stages?" He continued reading. The first way is your darkness, your evil and negative emotions. The second, when you need and desire nothing but power. These two ways almost go hand in hand. They give a Namikaze like yourself, I'm assuming, different powers based on your own personality, and abilities that are even sometimes catered to you. Now, that is probably the way that you are familiar with. The third way is actually with positivity, happiness, and positive emotions. When you awaken the other four stages of the Kuroime, then and only then will you be complete as a Namikaze. The abilities of the 4 stages that I speak of are first, being adept at lightning and water style. Second, a Susanoo-like armor. Of course, in the tablet it did not say this, it would just say an armor that is almost impenetrable. Third, the ability to stop time. Fourth, the ability to predict the movements of others. It would also state that the overuse of the negative emotions, if not balanced with the positive, would cause you to lose your sanity. Naruto would then bow to the tablet and leave Sasuke. Like I just said, Sasuke was quietly watching Naruto. He had realized that Naruto was following him, but didn't have the time to stop and tell him to go away. But now seeing Naruto exit the same, temple and, trying to read the same tablet that he tried to read, this would infuriate Sasuke, as he would rush at Naruto, who would block Sasuke's attack, using Almighty Push to push Sasuke into a building. Luckily for Naruto, Sasuke would land his head on the cement, which meant that no high-ranking Uchiha would be alerted, as no more conflict would arise. Sasuke now lied unconscious on the ground. Naruto then walked away as he would go about his day normally, falling asleep in his own apartment later that night. The next day, Naruto realized that he made a grave mistake in harming the Uchiha. 3 Uchiha now knocked on his door, abruptly opening it after the 3rd knock. "Are you Naruto Uzumaki?" one of the Uchiha asked. Yeah, why? What are you doing in my apartment?" It would be then that one of the Uchiha would grab Naruto, pushing him up against the wall and choking him. Naruto, with nothing to do, struggled to breathe, kicking his feet at the Uchiha, who laughed. "You think you can just get away with hurting one of our own?" "The Nine-Tails brat thinks he can do anything. Hear that, brother?" "Yeah, I hear that." Naruto then activated his 𝙎𝙈𝙊𝙃𝙃, using one of the famed abilities of the Dojutsu. As he would rewind his body to a point when it wasn't being pushed against the building, as Naruto then shifted reality. He appeared out of the grasp of the Uchiha, and then grabbed all of them, calling his Crow, who used Genjutsu on them, knocking them out. He then ran as fast as he could, getting to the Uchiha compound, and realizing that it was oddly quiet. Naruto's plan was that he would explain exactly what had happened to Sasuke's mom and dad, and, try to gain their forgiveness, and therefore the rest of the clan, as he knew that Fugaku was the clan's head. He then realized that no one was around. Even the men and women who set up fruit stands weren't there. His walking quickly turned to running, as he then began to pick up his pace. Maybe there was some secret meeting or party being thrown deeper in the Uchiha compound. On his way, he would see bodies upon bodies upon bodies of Uchiha laying dead on the ground. He then frantically knocked on Sasuke's door, but with no answer, he slowly turned the knob, opening the door as he was scared at what he may see. He saw blood and Fugaku and Mikoto Uchiha on the floor. It appeared as if they were dead, but he also saw Sasuke and Itachi over Sasuke. Naruto then spoke. Excuse me." "Hello, Naruto. Why are you here, if you don't mind me asking?" "Oh, I wanted to apologize to Sasuke for hurting him." "Huh. So he's the one who knocked out Sasuke. Surprising indeed." "Well, no one's going to stop you, Naruto. Say what you wish to." "Thank you, Itachi. I'm sorry, Sasuke. I really didn't mean to hurt you earlier. Yesterday, sorry. Not that badly, at least. It's just that you came rushing at me, okay? Yeah." Naruto then activated his one Tomoe Kuroime, as everything became clearer to Naruto. With his advanced perception, he began to realize things that were off. It appeared as if Itachi had killed them. Itachi had killed Sasuke's parents, and the tears on Sasuke's face were now more evident. Although they began to dry, he could still see them. Sasuke was in danger. Naruto could now hear his own heart beating louder and louder, as he would rush at Itachi, who turned around, blocking all of Naruto's blows and judo slamming him into the ground. Almost immediately after the counter, Naruto jumped up, windmill kicking Itachi. He slipped past my defenses. This is no normal 7 or 8-year-old. It would be then that he would grab his sword, as Naruto then called forth his crow, who appeared on his shoulder, nodding at it as it then opened its mouth to reveal another crow. Naruto then grabbed this crow by its leg, throwing it at Itachi, who wasn't foolish enough to dodge, but rather would try to use a genjutsu on the crow. It was to no avail, as before it could even touch Itachi, the crow exploded. Smoke then began to fill the room, and slowly but surely this smoke began to condense around Itachi. Itachi thought about ambushing Naruto as, well, quickly as he could while the smoke was still covering the room, but instead he didn't want to risk whatever the smoke was actually being able to surprise him and, well, harm him. With that being said, the crow then had disappeared and was gone, and as the smoke condensed around Itachi's body, it began to kind of form an aura of smoke around him, becoming smaller and smaller as it, well, surrounded Itachi. An explosion would then be created as the smoke that had actually surrounded Itachi meant that the blast radius was not able to harm Sasuke or Naruto, but it did allow Naruto to damage Itachi. When the smoke cleared, 30 crows were left of Itachi's body, and although Naruto believed this to be the end of Itachi and that they were his own crows, it was actually Itachi just using a substitution jutsu, as they slowly formed together to create Itachi's whole body. Itachi now stared at Naruto as he gathered up air in his lungs. Itachi would then yell out to Naruto, "Fire style, Phoenix Sage fire technique." This attack would send Naruto and Sasuke flying out of the house. Naruto's arms were now burnt, but he stood up. Itachi smiled as he now stood atop a wooden pole that allowed electricity to flow through the Uchiha compound. Itachi, identifying and knowing this, would blow fire on the wooden pole. Also, side note, if you heard some talking in the background, that was a family member of mine, and I apologize. It would be then that Itachi would jump onto a nearby building, as the wooden pole was now lit ablaze. Itachi's theory was that through letting the wood catch on fire with his Phoenix Sage fire technique, it would cause the metal connected to all of the Uchiha compound homes to spark, which would cause, well, fire to the entire compound, and would probably blaze it with fire. Naruto saw this as he would jump towards Itachi, kicking him down into the ground, but it was too late. All around Naruto were mini fires that turned into bigger and bigger fires with time. Naruto watched as this happened, and he realized there was just about nothing that he could do to stop it. Naruto grit his teeth. "What kind of big brother are you? All I've seen you do is destroy everything that Sasuke held dear to him. And that is unforgivable. You're Itachi Uchiha, the prodigy, the famed ninja. How could you treat your little brother like trash? How could you kill your own family members? Your own clansmen." Naruto was so infuriated by what Itachi had done that his Kuroime entered a hybrid form. With that, he punched Itachi in the gut. Itachi fell to one knee, coughing up blood. He was beginning to slow down. Although he believed himself to be someone with an incredibly high amount of chakra, and that is quite true, killing the entire clan put a lot of strain on his body, and obviously fighting people stronger than average Uchiha members within the clan was also a lot to deal with as well. On top of that, now having to tangle with a Jinchuriki, you wouldn't be able to blame Itachi for at least faltering a little bit. Naruto would then go on to release a barrage of punches towards Itachi, who would effortlessly dodge them, even in his now weakened state, if you want to call it that. Too tired to use jutsu, as Itachi feared that doing so would possibly cause him to pass out and be captured by Leaf Anbu. It would be then that he fought with Naruto, with only taijutsu and taijutsu alone. It would be here that he would best Naruto in nearly every aspect. Sasuke could do nothing but watch, as Sasuke watched Naruto keep up with Itachi, who seemed to be moving at near lightning fast speeds. Naruto continued to do battle with the Uchiha, as eventually Anbu appeared on the scene. The massive fire led them there, Now, it wasn't just Naruto versus Itachi, it was Naruto and 7 skilled Anbu, which seemed to only be the first of many. An exhausted Naruto fell to his knees after a gut punch from Itachi, which knocked the wind out of him. As, well, Naruto had let his guard down only for a minute, and Itachi was able to exploit that. He had let his guard down because he had seen the Anbu come. It would be then that the Anbu took charge, attacking Itachi with all their might. But it was made clear to them that a 13-year-old Itachi's Anbu squad captain was way out of their league, as he brought them all to their knees, disabling their movement by attacking certain pressure points in their bodies. Naruto watched this happen as sweat trickled down his forehead. Looking up, he saw Sasuke being held up against a wall by Itachi, who was visibly placing him under a genjutsu with the Sharingan. Naruto could do nothing but watched until, through sheer willpower, he forced his body to stand, hurling himself towards Itachi, who unsheathed his blade, plunging it right through Naruto. Naruto let off a quiet scream as he felt the blade pierce through him, now watching his blood pour down the blade. He began to grow queasy. He determined Naruto would reverse his body to when it wasn't stabbed by Itachi, as he would then rush after Itachi, who was now fleeing the scene. A tired Naruto, yet determined Naruto, followed Itachi. Realizing this, Itachi would begin to speed up. His advanced stamina allowed him to sustain high speeds, but little did Itachi know, Naruto Uzumaki had the stamina of a god. And that was putting it lightly. Hailing from the Namikaze clan and the Uzumaki clan. And, well, obviously having the Kyuubi, which meant that Naruto was able to keep up with Itachi, who was surprised. Itachi would do many things to shake Naruto off his tail. From him throwing Naruto off with changes in direction, speed, and distance and strides, but it was to no avail, and it did nothing to halt Naruto. Nothing but make Naruto more determined to catch up to him. Itachi then created a shadow clone, as Naruto believed that he was seeing double. But the clone quickly stopped moving, causing Naruto to think that he was just hallucinating the clone, as the clone then ended up behind Naruto, throwing dozens of kunai towards Naruto, who didn't realize. Before it was too late, he began to turn his head, as all 12 kunai hit him, 5 in his back, 4 in his left leg, and 3 in his left arm. Itachi's clone was precise, and every single kunai had a purpose. Itachi's clone then exploded on Naruto's body, as Naruto then began to hobble. The clone's explosion doubled the damage on his body, as he fell out of the air, bumping into and through a few trees on the way down. Itachi's main body then stopped, as he felt the clone explode, and he knew that it had injured Naruto, since it was only meant to explode if it had made contact with Naruto. It would be then that Naruto watched as Itachi walked closer and closer to him. Naruto now looked up at Itachi with a red eye, with Tomoe and a slit in the middle. Itachi was surprised, but said nothing, as he knew that Naruto was on the brink of passing out, and so before he would ask Naruto what his relation to his younger brother was. And Naruto couldn't help but tell the truth and tell Itachi that, well, he wants to be Sasuke's friend. And after hearing this, Itachi would summon a crow that would then fly into Naruto's mouth. Naruto could do nothing but swallow it, as Naruto tried to ask Itachi what he did, but by the time he did, Itachi was gone, and Naruto's eyes were slowly closing. It seemed that he had entered one of Itachi's genjutsu. The Jinchuriki could be placed into genjutsu by an Uchiha. The Kyuubi was baffled and did nothing. He knew that Naruto's body wasn't in danger, as, well, he could see that Itachi clearly left, and there was no harm to, well, Naruto. He also believed that if Naruto was in a weakened state, then more of his Kyuubi chakra could get through the seal, which would make breaking out of Naruto's body much easier long term. It would be then that Naruto spoke with Itachi. Side note, I did say, that was loud, very loud. Side note, I did say that, well, the Kyuubi is now kind of Naruto's friend, and I'm well aware of that, but it doesn't mean that Kurama's going to ever look past his true goal, which is, well, having freedom. It would be then that the Genjutsu had fully activated, as he saw Itachi. It would be here that Itachi would actually speak to Naruto, as he would go on to explain the corrupt nature of the government of the Leaf Village. He would explain why he did what he did and what caused him to do so. He would explain the elders and even the root Anbu led by Danzo. It would be here that he disappeared and Naruto awoke from the Genjutsu. The night sky was now a clear day sky, and Naruto had felt like a week had passed, although it was a much shorter amount of time than it passed in reality. He slowly but surely pulled the kunai out from his back and leg and arm as he stood up, now with one good arm and one good leg, since the other leg and arm were previously riddled with kunai just minutes ago. Naruto would use his right leg and right arm to propel himself forward, as he ran back to the Leaf Village. So, after getting back to the Leaf Village, Naruto would pass out, waking up in a hospital bed. Beside Naruto was Sasuke, as Naruto would stand up, putting on his clothes, and looking down at Sasuke, who looked like he was having a nightmare, eyes opened and drowsy, and his head looking downwards. Naruto would activate his 𝘾𝙍𝙄𝙈𝙊𝙇, breaking the Genjutsu, as Sasuke's heart rate and facial expression became normal. Little did Naruto know, by identifying that he had been placed under a Genjutsu by Itachi and breaking it, he had saved Sasuke from thousands of sleepless nights. Leaving the room and going to the training grounds of the hidden Leaf Village, as Sasuke would wake up, going home, as he now saw Naruto training. He would admire Naruto, but he also envied him, and a piece of Sasuke hated Naruto. He would then decide that he wouldn't let Naruto leave him in the dust, and that he would train even harder than Naruto to catch up, and to actually be able to fight Itachi and kill him. As well, he did train, and we will now have a time skip of 5 years, officially making Naruto 12 and Sasuke also 12 years old. Naruto during this time skip has been training very hard, and has managed to awaken the third stage of the 𝘾𝙗𝙗 in its negative and happy form, a feat in its own right, for any Namikaze, let alone the Jinchuriki of the Nine Tails, Naruto Uzumaki. Nevertheless, Sasuke will also be getting a massive amp that his canon counterpart did not receive, gaining the 3 Tomoe Sharingan at just the age of 12, a blade, and a Tanto, which is just a short sword. Sasuke also now has lightning style almost mastered. Now, you may say that this is a stretch, but I believe 5 years of Sasuke consistently training is, enough for Sasuke to have the 3 Tomoe and, mastery over lightning style. Naruto and Sasuke would pass the academy with flying colors, as this Naruto is much smarter than his canon counterpart at this point, and we are now waiting for Kakashi so that they can have the bell test. Also, quick change in the timeline. Hinata will be on Team 7 instead of Sakura. Kakashi would then explain the rules of the bell test, and Naruto would ask Sasuke if he was willing to work with him. Sasuke would then say that he was willing to work with Naruto as long as they each got 1 bell. Naruto knew that he was going to go after the bell, but he also knew that he was just going to end up giving it to Hinata anyway. Sasuke, join in about a minute after me. I'll weaken him enough so that you can at least touch him. Okay, got it. So I'm going to be the number 2 here? Yeah. Think of me as a doikoi. A doikoi? Yeah, you know, the thingy that, I think you mean a decoy, Naruto. Yeah, a decoy, whatever. Just think of me as a decoy. Naruto then ran at Kakashi. A frontal assault? You're pretty brave. It would be here that Naruto would face off against the copy ninja, as Naruto would then say frontal attacks are the best to catch your opponent off guard and to lower their defenses, universal pulling Kakashi, as he would then punch Kakashi as he came towards him, and All Mighty pushing him afterwards. This kid is really something. I don't think my body's ever been manipulated like that. I wonder what the weakness to a jutsu like that is. Maybe it has an immense chakra strain. But before Kakashi could think any further, Naruto attacked him once more. Lightning style. Lightning ball encasement. Multiple bolts of lightning then flew at Kakashi. Sync with me, Sasuke, it's time! Let's form a combination jutsu! Sure thing. Uchiha style. Great Fireball Jutsu! Kakashi, just fast enough to perceive this jutsu and their movements, activated his Sharingan, breaking it down and slowing his perception, holding out both of his hands and activating the Chidori in one and nothing in the other, catching the fireball which would char his hand, burning through his gloves due to the increased heat, because of the lightning style in the fireball. With that, the Chidori was able to absorb most of the lightning in the jutsu as he came running towards Naruto with the Chidori still active, hypothesizing that even if he got too close, Naruto could just blast him away like he did before, with that jutsu that seemed to barely drain Naruto's chakra. As Naruto then prepared hand seals for the water-style water vortex jutsu, but Kakashi was too fast, interrupting the jutsu. Kakashi was no slouch, as he then hit Naruto, pulling back immediately, but it was too late. A huge cloud of dust appeared around Naruto's body, as a thick and tight aura then surrounded him, latching onto his legs, feet, face, arm, and body, similar to that of a Susanoo armor, or even aura. It would be here that Naruto would now run at Kakashi, who had taken a moment to gauge how much damage had been done to Naruto. Although this may seem stupid, but, well, Itachi had quite literally just hit Naruto on accident with a Chidori, although he pulled away to minimize the amount of damage done. It would be here that Kakashi would snap out of it, running at Naruto with his Chidori and stabbing it through the chakra armor that Naruto had created and plunging it into his spleen. He now realized that he had harmed Naruto truly, but this could all be learned as a learning lesson. It was clear to Kakashi that Naruto is far above the level of the average genin, and so knowing that you can be hurt like this in combat by merely just your own sensei, let alone ninja on the battlefield, would be a great lesson. And heck, Naruto hadn't even truly displayed teamwork yet. The lightning around his hand then dissipated. It had seemed that in the brief moment of Kakashi hitting Naruto, Hinata had stepped in, hitting Kakashi's chakra points. Kakashi then used the first gate of opening, which, if you don't know, is an ability that he does have, gaining an amp and jumping into the air. It had seemed that while Kakashi and Naruto were fighting, Naruto had a shadow clone briefing Sasuke and Hinata on the perfect moments to step in and help. It would be here that Kakashi would land, exclaiming that they all passed the test and will be promoted to the Genin rank. Naruto and Sasuke then smirked, and Hinata smiled. They both quickly turned their attention to Naruto, who fell down to his knees, grabbing his injured spleen and passing out. Kakashi stood in front of them, reading a volume of his Make-Up Paradise volume. Or rather, novel. Excuse me. Kakashi would sigh, speaking to Hinata and Sasuke. Would you two quit worrying about Naruto? He'll be fine. Hinata and Sasuke looked at each other and then back at Kakashi as they grit their teeth, attacking Kakashi, who held his composure while still reading the Make-Up volume. As he quickly rested the book on the ground, kicking Hinata and Sasuke, creating distance between him and them. He then created an earth wall which allowed him to carry on reading, but it was then that the earth wall broke, causing Kakashi to stand up and grab Naruto. It would be here that he would run away so that he could take Naruto to the hospital quickly and keep reading his novel. A few days would pass with Naruto, Sasuke, and Hinata beginning their ninja life, as Naruto quickly healed from this injury due to his obvious Uzumaki healing factor and the fact that he is a Jinchuriki. Kakashi took them on some D-rank missions where on, the first day of taking them, they were clearly all above the level of taking random D-rank missions like saving cats and helping random old ladies. It would be here that Kakashi would explain the reasoning for not worrying about Naruto, as he could tell that Sasuke and Hinata were still kind of upset about it and looked at him differently than they would if, he explained. He would, and they eventually understood. It would be here that they got bored of all the D-rank missions. Even Hinata, a timid girl and even an understanding one, was bored and knew that she was far above the level of catching cats and cutting wood and things of the sort. Eventually, it prompted Kakashi to ask for a C-rank mission, as Hiruzen gladly agreed, seeing Team 7 worthy of one due to their insane talent and strength, proving that in just a few days that they had done D-rank missions and, even through the Bell test. Kakashi had even stated that this was the strongest group of Genin that he had ever put through the Bell test, and it was fitting that they were the only group to pass it. With that being said, they then started their steering mission to the Land of Waves. The next week, and on their way out of the village, they would encounter Shino, who was following Naruto. Naruto then turned around asking what Shino wanted, and Shino exclaimed that his bugs really liked his chakra. "Though you're no 𝙎𝙈𝙊𝙊𝙃𝙃, this is quite strange. My bugs really like you." That's weird. Naruto didn't say this, but he did think it. It would be here that he decided to ask why his bugs liked him, as Shino told him that he had no real clue. Why, as he would go on to tell Naruto that they, as in his bugs, wanted him to give Naruto a gift of sorts. "Here, this box contains bugs that fight any poison, and can even heal you of your injuries. It is to my understanding that you and Hinata and Sasuke are going on a mission. If you or one of them gets poisoned, heck, even if Kakashi-sensei gets poisoned, then these bugs can help you." Naruto would gladly accept the gift, thanking Shino, although he still thought it was quite weird that his bugs liked his, presence. We will now skip to when they see the puddle. Hinata, seeing this, would activate her Byakugan and tell the team that there are 2 ninja within the puddle, probably for a surprise attack, and Tazuna is most likely their target. It would be here that Naruto pulled out his short sword, and Sasuke did as well, striking lightning style through it. Naruto then clashed blades with Sasuke's sword, as they were able to conduct both of their blades. This was due to the fact that Sasuke had not fully mastered lightning style yet, at least not on objects like his sword. This meant that Sasuke's sword now also had lightning style on it, as well as Naruto's, as they both slammed their blades into the ground, electrocuting the Demon Brothers, as water and lightning are great as combination techniques, and even deadlier as, a means of hurting someone. Naruto would then pull the Demon Brothers out with the assistance of Sasuke, as Kakashi then interrogated them and figured out that they were after Tazuna. Naruto himself, seeing it as a duty that he must complete the mission, would convince Kakashi to keep going, and they would continue on their way. Little did Naruto know, Kakashi already planned on, continuing to go. He saw that this could also be a learning experience, and that they shouldn't trust anyone just because they're in need. It would be on their way to their first encounter with Zabuza and Haku that they would notice that something was wrong. Something seemed off, and they could feel strong chakras. It would be here that they entered the scene, as the battle between Zabuza and Haku would begin. Also, this Haku is much more ruthless, and willing to kill and beat people in this timeline. But that's besides the point. Their first encounter does go the same, prompting them to retreat, as Zabuza had called in a reinforcement, Danzo Shamura, and his Anbu squadron, who are now working as mercenaries alongside him. As I explained in the last part, basically, Danzo's goal is to take out Naruto, Sasuke, Hinata, and Kakashi, and obtain their Dojutsu. Within the week time period before their next encounter with Zabuza, Naruto, Sasuke, and Hinata would train on tree climbing, and they would all complete it in one day. Due to Sasuke's Sharingan being in the 3 Tomoe state, he has better analytical skills. Hinata is naturally gifted, and her Byakugan allows her to see far into the future, but at this point she can predict similar to the Sharingan. As shown with Momoshiki and Boruto, the Byakugan is very much so capable of doing this, as Momoshiki with his advanced Byakugan was able to even know Naruto and Boruto's fate in the future, specifically Boruto though, as well as Naruto's own Dojutsu, the Kuroime, allowing him to fluctuate his chakra, and so the rest of the time, Kakashi starts training Sasuke on the basics of the Chidori, and Naruto on the basics of the Rasengan. Yeah, Naruto and Sasuke are learning the Chidori much quicker / earlier in this timeline. By the end of this training, they would manage to gain imperfect versions of their signature jutsu. An imperfect version of the Rasengan for Naruto, and an imperfect version of the Chidori for Sasuke. Kakashi would tell Naruto that he hypothesizes that Naruto has much more chakra than even at first glance, but that his true reserves only come forth when he has to protect his comrades or friends, or must do something. Nevertheless, Hinata would work on her chakra nature, and I'm adding water to her chakra natures, as I think it fits Hinata. And she learns the water needle jutsu, which she's been shown to use in the anime, and here's a quick summary of the jutsu. Using chakra control granted by the Gentle Fist, Hinata can concentrate her chakra now, until water vortexes are created around her. Those vortexes shoot water blast, which turn into needle-like water. By using the Byakugan, this technique can be used with great precision to hit very small targets or people in precise areas, as we now skip to their second encounter in the Inari scene, which goes the same as they arrive on the bridge, seeing 8 figures, 5 Anbu, 2 of which were Yamato, otherwise known as Tenzo, and Sai, and another 2 of them, Fu Yamanaka and Torane Aburame, as well as the last being Yugao Yuzuki. The 2 other figures were Danzo Shimura, Zabuza Momochi, and Haku Yuki. Kakashi would then retreat, calling in for reinforcements, as the Anbu looked for them. It was here that Team 7 was hiding behind some foliage as reinforcements began to make their way to the Land of Waves. Kakashi then said that these are all very powerful ninja, and that this mission has now gone from what Kakashi believed to be a small B, possibly A rank mission, to easily an S rank mission. So, be extremely careful. Naruto responded with "got it," and Sasuke would do the same. Hinata said nothing, but her facial expression clearly showed that she was determined and that she understood the grand scale of the situation. It would be here that Naruto would ask Sasuke to back him up, as Sasuke would nod. "Also, Hinata, you should back me and Naruto up from afar," Sasuke would say. "The technique that you just learned, the vortex thingy? It can be very valuable even in this situation." Hinata would nod, as she would tell Sasuke that she could only do it 10 times before not having enough chakra, and then she'd have to use things like the Gale Palm or jutsus that really are more so close range. And that's not really what you guys need in battle. So, she'll use her vortex jutsu until she can't anymore. Naruto smiled, thanking Hinata, as Hinata nodded, blushing. Naruto then ran into battle with Sasuke and Kakashi at his side. It would be here that before engaging in combat, he would yell "Almighty Push," pushing all of them away. Surprised by the attack, most of the ninjas completely lost their footing and, flew, except for Danzo, who hadn't been pushed back, knowing of the technique and using ninja wire with weights on the end of them as to not move and to be affected by the attack. It would be here that Sasuke then fired off a fire-style fireball jutsu at Danzo, as Yugao Yuzuki jumped in the way, opening a scroll and using the enclosing technique to decimate the fireball, and then fire it at Sasuke, who then used a move similar to Shisui's Uchiha-style Halo dance, slicing through the fireball in a linear fashion. Naruto then ran at Yugao, unsheathing his sword and clashing with her multiple times. Yugao then jumped back from one of Naruto's blows, forcing him to windmill kick her to continue the combo, knocking off her mask as Sasuke then recognized her. She was one of the Anbu members who pinned him to the ground and declared him as the last survivor of the Uchiha clan. This enraged Sasuke when it originally happened, as he would ask Naruto, who was still pressing her in combat with various different techniques and taijutsu abilities, as Sasuke then asked if he could take it from there, as he has a sort of grudge against her. With no questions asked, Naruto understood, as Naruto then kicked her up into the air and nodded at Sasuke as they switched places. Naruto would then immediately trap Danzo in a lightning and water prison, running at Sai, who used a Super Beast scroll, whilst Danzo tried to dissect the jutsu and break out of it. It would be here that Sai would dodge, as Naruto would then, dodge Sai's own counterattack, as he would slice the ink in half, as it would then splatter onto his face and clothes, as Naruto here would activate his 1 Tomoe Kuroime and 3 Tomoe Darkness Kuroime in his left eye, running at Sai and clashing with him and jumping back, making the hand signs for the multi-shadow clone jutsu, and creating 100 clones who brutally cut and beat Sai until his death. In canon, Naruto probably wouldn't have done this, but I see no reason why he would let Sai live after, Sai is quite literally threatening his own life and the lives of his comrades. One thing should be known about this Naruto: he will not let people like this live who attack his, loved ones. And due to him only using one light Tomoe Kuroime in this situation, and a 3 Tomoe Darkness Kuroime, he's a bit more dark and bloodlusted than normal. Now, to be clear, just by using the darker forms of the Kuroime, Naruto doesn't turn into some sick bastard. But he isn't just going to let someone live who's trying to kill, like I said, him and his friends. As such, he's okay with killing Sai. Quick reminder to like, subscribe, and comment if you haven't already. It's good for the YouTube algorithm. We left off with Naruto killing Sai, and Sasuke killing Yugao, and that's basically it for a recap, if you didn't know that already. But then I'd have to ask what you were doing, as this is the end to part 2 to What If the Namikaze Clan Had a Dojutsu. This part 2 was significantly longer than part 1, but if you're watching this in a movie, then just skip past this part. Don't skip too far, or you might miss out on some of the story. With that being said, this has been 𝙎𝙈𝙊𝙊𝙃. I hope you guys all enjoyed. Make sure to hit the like and subscribe button. And with that being said, 𝙎𝙈𝙊𝙃 out.